Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast. I'm 10 Types, as always, joined by Uncommon Fossil.
Hello, how's it going?
And today we're talking about Pokemon TCG Pocket because there was some big news about it. I guess it's kind of weird. So, Uncommon Fossil, what are your. Well, I guess we should kind of. You want to explain what we've heard?
Yeah, I mean, there's been big stuff this week on it. Partly, there's been some official announcements. One from Pokemon's regular, their official website where they do news. They have a news channel there with some information. Nothing that crazy there. And then they've started up in the forums a channel or two channels for Pocket, and there's a letter to the community, and there's another channel that people can post stuff at. But at this point, that is just mostly speculation out there. So there's been some more official announcement, but then they also had they had at least one in London and one in LA that I know of presentations for content creators. I assume you were not invited, by the way, or am I wrong about that?
Yeah, who knows? I can only say what I can say, right?
Well, they're talking about it, so I'm going to assume that means no, right? I think they're a
Who
little bit
knows? Who knows?
they're bigger channels, and look, they're people that we can say have you're not willing to sell out to the man, right? So why don't we say they don't want, they can't rely on you to say the company line. How about that?
Hey, if they pay me, I'll take it.
So they
But
had
yeah,
these
no.
content creators. One of them was Wasi from PTCG Radio. I think he was there for a half hour in the office and got to play the game and talk to some devs. And I think the LA one was like 4 to 5 hours is longer. The one person I know, it's not a Pokemon TCG person, but has a bunch of information. So watch some of their videos. Been getting information that way as well. There is going to be
Who was that?
I just was it
Spriggles,
Spreggles?
something like that.
Yeah, on
Yeah,
this secondary channel of his.
yeah. You can just look up Pokemon TCG Pocket. I mean, pretty much. I think you don't have too much info on your channel, right?
No, I haven't done it at all. I'm gonna, I think, do some coverage when the game starts, but probably not before them. It's Spreggles B tier, his second channel, which is now based. He says it's going to be a Pokemon Pocket Prime focused channel
Yeah. But
there.
I have a lot of info on my channel. Like you can find it. There's a
Right.
PokeBeach article that we're primarily referencing
Hmm.
in today's video, and we're going to be talking about some of the implications of a lot of these things. And so you can find it. You can pretty much find all the info there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the PokeBeach people were at the thing. So
Okay. On the Poke Beach, there's two main articles, which I've now bookmarked for, which I think are going to keep getting updated. One is Pokemon TCG Pocket is the heading, and it's information about the app. And then the other is Genetic Apex being the first first set release, so which has all the cards that they know of so far, and then we'll filled in. So there's 2 pages where you can go on Poke Beach to get everything.
yeah. So where do you want to start here? Because there's a lot of stuff to get into.
Just real brief what Pocket is, if people aren't familiar, right? So it is a mobile app, and it's going to be just a mobile app. It's not going to be playable on your computer. I don't think it ever is going to be, right? Because I don't think the other like Go and stuff. They're just phone mobile apps. I think only that. It's digital only. There's no IRL cards. There's no plans at this point for there ever to be that. Although it's monetized, unlike PTCG or Live. So how monetized it'll be will be, we'll see as time goes on. If they could make money from IRL cards, maybe they'll do that, but I don't know. It's primarily focused on collecting, and there's a lot of alternate arts and that stuff. But it also involves casual gameplay. There's no ranked mode, although from conversations that people have had, it seems like they're open to that down the road. There's not going to be any competitive events, but again, this is the type of thing where it may be like a side event down the road, and then probably, if it does well, which I think it will, it may start to show up in Worlds in a few years. That's kind of the thought along that. But for now, it's collecting first, and with some casual gameplay, and matchmaking that's pretty unknown at this point.
Yeah. So a few things about some of the things you said that I want to add on as well.
Yeah.
One, you said that it's like not going to be at Worlds, which it won't yet. But yeah, I think Pokemon wants it to be really big. I think they want it to be maybe like the next Pokemon Go, and
Yeah.
obviously it's like kind of merging this the popularity of mobile games with the popularity of the Pokemon TCG and how that's like exploded at various times. And also, you said that the Pokemon company is kind of open to change. And one thing you mentioned this at Jank Apex, they said somewhere that there will not be new sets planned actively. They will be kind of. I think they said they're judging it based on how like much of the set's been collected or something. I don't exactly know, but they're kind of going along with how it just like kind of seeing how it's going to go. By the way, there's essentially a limited beta for people in New Zealand. So if you're in New
Right.
Zealand, you can try out this app early. I don't know exactly what that looks like on the App Store. I assume it just means you can kind of play it. I think it's the same app, and that will be what this September 26th, which is
26.
this Thursday.
Yep. Yeah. So less than a week away. And I don't, we don't, we were at talking earlier. Do we know any content creators from New Zealand that are out there? We don't, but I imagine there'll be some information as people play it out there.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are some, and we'll see that. And then I will say probably don't use like a VPN or something to bypass the um like
Right.
the
The
barrier. I don't know how.
restriction to your region. Right. Because back with live, people were doing that. And I don't believe there were any consequences. I didn't do it because I didn't want to take a risk for one thing. And also live wasn't very good. Let's
Yeah,
be honest.
I didn't do it because I didn't want to. Well, I wasn't gonna do it anyway, but live was like really bad, so I was like, I don't want to do this, even if I could.
Right, but this is the big company. Right? Oh, that's important to note. This is not the same company that's bringing us live or brought us PTCGO. That those are brought by the Pokemon Company International. This is Pocket is by the Pokemon Company, the big company. They're the ones that have done Go in games like that. So the resources are there. It's going to be done right. It's also going to be heavily monetized, which is partly why something that I would imagine the chances of legal trouble are greater with this app.
Yeah, I mean, it's not allowed in certain countries. It's
Yeah, there's a couple in Europe. Is it maybe
Belgium
Belgium,
and the
the Netherlands?
Netherlands
I
or
think
something.
because the loot boxes are outlawed because of the gambling aspect in a game for children, right? Which is that's that it is an issue. I will say.
Yeah, I think it's like part of why. So Pokemon TCG. One thing I have heard is some people say, uh, which is generally like it's wrong, is that why is Pokemon putting money into Pocket when and not Live? And it's because they're two separate things. But one person I think that actually works with Pokemon said a big difference is that this is available worldwide, but it's also not available worldwide because you can't play it in certain countries. I think you will be able to play one or the other in most countries, but that's still disappointing that you can't play in every country. And so that's something to keep in mind. Although I don't know, I hope Pokemon will like. I don't know. I feel like Pokemon wants this game to be playable in those countries, so I hope they'll figure out a way to do that, but they probably won't.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the audience for them, they're small populations relative to a lot of other countries. So, I mean, they'd have to probably change the reward system. I don't know what qualifies as a quote loot box underneath the laws there. If something bigger, like if the whole say the European Union were to make it illegal, then Pokemon would have to step in, right, and do it. And things like that you never know what's going to happen down the road.
Yeah, um, but we'll see about that. And then what else is there? So the monetization aspect, there are like a bunch of currencies. So which ones can you pay for? I'm kind of
There's one
confused.
currency you can pay for, as far as I know. That's
Only one?
Poke Gold, and
Okay.
that's my understanding. You can buy 5 Poke Gold for 99 cents. You can buy 500 Poke Gold for $99.99.
Which is
So
actually more, right?
it is because of the rounding, right? Because it actually costs you. You could actually get, if you spent your $100, you could actually in bought 5 packs at a time. There are 5 Poke Gold at a time. You'd get one more pack, I believe. But obviously, there's a convenience factor. There might be discounts. I'm not quite. One site seemed to indicate some discounts or something, or maybe like in live when you buy a pack, you also get certain amount of like credits along the way. So maybe there's some other reward something else, but it seems like there's no discount. And then there's also the other thing is the monthly pass, right? That I imagine
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are casual people are largely gonna pay for that. That's $10, $9.99 for a month. It gets you an extra pack a day. We'll talk about that. But if you want to like really get the cards as fast as possible, you can spend I think up to $150 a day to on packs to get more packs in a day. And this is part of like the new packs that come out. To what extent are people just throwing money? If enough people throw enough money at the game fast enough, Pokemon will release cards faster, right? I assume.
Yeah, and then that'll leave just other people left in the dust. Maybe we'll see. But
Yeah,
the way packs work is it's one every 12 hours. But
right.
I think you don't need. Do you need to check in? Like, if you miss, like, if you're like 12 hours and 1 minute every time, is it gonna start rolling back or not? I
You
was a little
get
confused
there's
by that.
a queue of 2 packs. So if you check only once a day, and then one day it's over 24 hours, I'm not sure if you lose a whole 12. You lose a little bit. I don't know if you lose the
Okay,
minute
I don't think
or
you lose a whole. Yeah, I think you lose in a minute.
but so you want to check in a couple times a day. And if you pay for the monthly pass, it's every 8 hours. In which case, you're gonna wanna, if you really want to maximize, which you're gonna be doing because you're paying, you need to like do it right before you go to bed and first thing you get up in the morning,
Well, no,
as
you don't
well
need
as
to check every 8 hours. You just need to check
less than every
one of
16
the. You should
hours.
check. Yeah, so just check. I don't think this will be an issue. Like, it's something I think you can just open up and it'll take like a minute or two. Um, which you'll have time to do that just a few
Right.
times throughout the day if you just want to collect the packs. But yeah, then the Pokegold, and then there's also a currency like hourglasses. Is that what's called?
There's 2 types. There's the regular hourglasses that i- that you could get for free, and there's missions in the game, and that'll also be like how much often you need to be in the game because the missions are how you get in-game resources. So how often do they regenerate, and how much time do they take? I think I have no idea about that. So the hourglass, the ones that you get for free, each hourglass you spend reduces your wait time by an hour. And my understanding is with the missions and the rewards you get early on, you get a lot of hourglasses. So you open a lot of packs to get started, which is good because otherwise, we didn't say this yet, but they're 5 card packs. That's what they are now. They might change in the future for future sets, but they're 5 card packs. If you're only opening 2 packs a day, and the decks are 20 cards, we didn't say that, but they're 20 cards. It would take you 2 days before you could play your first game, right? Which isn't very inviting to a new player. So they,
Yeah, and you get starter decks too, right? I think, or do you not? You
I
get
don't.
starting items, but I
Uh,
thought they were from starter decks.
I think you go through whatever like the tutorial system to learn the game, and then you pick up cards as you do it. And I'm not sure if it's one of those things where you get a deck that's kind of nerfed, and then you get more cards as you play with it, or I'm not fully sure about that.
Hmm. Okay, so we'll see about that. But one thing I don't love is a lot of other people have said this. I don't think it's a massive issue, but there are a bunch of currencies. I feel like the pack hourglasses and Pokegold, they're like kind of the same thing, right?
Well, the Pokegold, then you can spend the Pokegold. I think the Pokegold, you get hourglasses from that. I think that count. There are 2 hours instead of 1 hours. Um,
I thought the Pokegold like acts like um. I thought it
I,
is instead of an hourglass. I don't know.
I'm a little confused about that. I don't exactly know how that part works, but you spend the Pokegold to open packs as well. You can also spend the Pokegold to get cosmetic things because that's a big part. It's collecting. I think if you want to get the alternate arts in particular, you're going to have to spend money. That's but for myself, and I think for you too, we're like in live and Pokemon, I'm a budget player. I want to play the game. I don't want to spend any money. I want to just get access to playable decks. I don't care about the arts, and I'm hoping that Pocket lets us do that. That's my and hopefully they're getting the collectors, the people that are spending money to chase for their collections, are paying for the game. And then there's which is kind of how the TCG is in general, right? There's this world of collectors. It's the big group. They spend a whole lot of money, and Pokemon is cheaper as a TCG to play than other TCGs. I think in large part because the collectors are giving a lot of money to the company.
Yeah, and then that means, and I hope this would be my ideal situation. I've said this about, I don't know if I said about Pocket or maybe Live when it was released, or maybe PTCG. I don't know, but I said that an ideal Pokemon game for me would be free for like players that you spend money for if you're a collector, and if you want to bling out your deck to play, then you can spend some money. But Pokemon needs money. I mean, they don't need
Hmm.
that, like they have a lot of money, but they want money. They need money to invest
Yep.
into a game. I mean, Pokemon TCG Live is a clear example of them really not investing into a game because they don't get money out of it.
Right.
And so they need money, and this will probably make them a lot of money. I mean, just like looking at it.
Yeah,
So we'll see how it goes. But also, I think you get the what's it, the battle pass, or I don't know what it was called, the battle pass thing.
the
You get that
monthly
the first
pass.
2 weeks. Yeah, you get that 2 weeks for free, I think.
Well, you have to, when you subscribe, which means you probably have to give them your credit card information and
Okay.
be in it and be in the and be in auto, and then you have to make sure you cancel. And you're
Okay.
giving Pokemon Company your credit card information. I think you get the first 2 weeks free, is what they said. You
Okay.
can't.
So maybe that's not the thing to do, but it is like an option. Um,
Yeah, you could do it for the first 2 weeks and get it. Like I said, it gets you an extra pack a day. It does get you some premium stuff, which I guess gets you some visuals because there's a lot of stuff like binders and like frames and I don't know what all in the game too. There's
yeah,
currencies
there's a
there. Sorry, there's shop tickets, there's emblem tickets, special shop tickets, event shop tickets, all of which I'm not sure what they do, but it's going to be a little confusing figuring out what's what, I think, at first.
Yeah. So we'll figure this. I don't think it'll be like that complicated. I think if you just kind of go with it, it'll make sense within like a day or two.
Yeah,
And yeah, a few other things before we talk about the gameplay, which is the I guess the meat. It's not actually the meat of the game, but it's the meat of the game for us and
right.
for our content. Like I don't know exactly how my content will look with Pocket. It'll be a little bit different. Hopefully not that different though. And so we need to talk about what was I going to talk about? Um, Oh, so there's like I don't know, this is kind of related, but um oh, I don't think you actually get starter decks. You just get like these starter packs. Anyway, so you
You
get
get
the item cards are
packs,
not
right?
not in sorry, what
Yeah,
do you say?
within the cards that you pull from packs, within the game, there's Pokemon, there's what trainer, supporters and items. There's no energy tools or stadiums in the game, although you do get energy, but it's not through cards as such. But the items, I don't think you pull from packs. You're going to maybe get all the items that you need from the new player experience, or perhaps you can get them some other way. That part wasn't fully clear. There are ways to like craft cards too, but it's pretty expensive, especially to get like the EX cards. I think it takes you as a budget as a free if you're a free player, it's going to take you like a month of getting stuff to purchase one EX card, I think.
Yeah. One thing, well, two things. I assume that calculation does not really account for hourglasses very much,
No, correct. It does not. So my
which are
understand
free somewhat.
you get yeah. I think what'll happen. And this fits the comments I've heard. You're going to get a lot of hourglasses up front to get you going and get you supposed to build a starting collection, right? Because that needs to happen. Plus, to get you hooked on the game, because ultimately they want people to spend money. And then I imagine over time the hourglasses are going to get tougher to accumulate. That's what I anticipate happening.
Yeah, so I thought there were starting decks. I don't think there are, but it says when you first open the game, you'll get a booster pack with 1 to 3 Kanto Pokemon, as well as its star version. I assume these are the three starters, that are the three Kanto Pokemon, because it shows Squirtle as the example. I assume it's not
Oh, because
Pikachu, Charizard, and
he's not on
Mewtwo.
one of the pack arts, right? Or is there a fourth
Yeah, no, the
pack?
pack cards. No, the pack cards are Pikachu, Charizard, and Mewtwo. But I think these are the starter. It says starter Pokemon, so I think it's referring to Squirtle, Charmander, and Bulbasaur. But then also says you can easily get item cards through tutorials and other means. Not really sure what that means. Well, I know what the tutorial is, but or I know what like a tutorial would be, but
Yeah.
like live has that, and I guess you get the cards from the live tutorial. But um, I don't know what the other means mean here.
Yeah, we'll find. Yeah, time will tell about that and how hard it is to get items or not. Because obviously, in the TCG, items are probably. I mean, you need Pokemon. Obviously, you can't do anything, but items are really the heart. In a lot of ways, I think the heart of the game for deck building and for actions, right? Because generally, you play multiple actions a turn, and without that, you can't do much.
Yeah, so we'll see, and we'll talk about the decks, but there's some mission examples, which concern me a little bit. It says they are daily missions. So how do like lives daily missions? You don't have to. You can get a new one every day, but you don't need to complete it in a day, right?
Correct. But if you don't finish it up, they don't refresh though, right? You have the two missions. There's another game I play, MTG Arena. You get up to three missions that stack, so you can kind of clear those out. how many missions can you get, and is it like in live? It's a left hand mission, the right hand mission. It's not like you can finish one mission and you get it gets replaced. So we don't know how many you get and all that and how quickly they refresh.
Yeah, but I'm looking at these. So there's examples. There's 4 examples. The one is just trade. The one's login. Obviously, that's easy. I don't think that'll be a regular mission. That might just be like a first time mission thing.
Yeah.
Um, but then this one is open for booster packs, which you can't do in a day unless you spend money or a bunch of hourglasses. And then if you only have a day to complete it, it's literally a mission you can't complete without spending money or having certain things, essentially being lucky going into it. So I
Right.
don't know if that's a mission that you can just say complete over the course of 2 days or whatever,
I imagine you
or
can.
not.
Generally, for the games that I've played, once you have a mission, it sits there until you complete it, right? But
Mhm.
until it gets completed, a lot of times it takes a space that will in, that keeps you from getting a new mission instead, right? Like if that is one of the missions, open for booster packs, and depending how quickly we get tickets, you might want to always have a store of tickets to
Like
get
the
those.
hourglasses or
Sorry, the
something else.
hourglasses to get some extra booster packs when you need. Because if you spend all your hourglasses, you may have to then wait 2 days to finish this particular mission.
Yeah. And then these challenges I think are cool because they kind of encourage people to try out different elements of the game and hopefully don't force you to like do certain things, but just kind of
Right.
encourage you. In this section also mentions there's a solo mode against this is AI. I don't think it's actually AI, though I don't know the definition of it, but like a
Right. It's
computer
right against the
thing.
computer. Yeah.
And then which is cool. I think that's
Oh, but
nice.
there is a fifth mission here, right? At least on the thing
Uh,
I'm looking. Collect cards. You're on the Poke Beach page, right?
yeah, I didn't talk about that one.
Oh, did you were you saving it?
Oh, no, we can talk. I'll read it. So it says collect cards following certain themes. I don't think this is an exact mission, but collect
No.
cards following certain themes, such as all Electabuzz and Magmar cards, all starter Pokemon, and all evolutions, etc. Which obviously you probably can't do in a day.
No, these will take time. So there are games, and I get confused with which games have what type of reward system where you have like 30 missions that are there that you can make progress on all at the same time, right? And maybe that's how this will work. Because those missions are very long-term missions, I assume. So,
Well, I don't know. There's only like 3 starters. Like that's 3 cards, I think, which you
yeah,
could do if you're spending money. So that's what I'm a little concerned about.
right. But if you're just opening packs, it may take you a week or more to get them, right?
Yeah, but if you're spending money or not spending
If
money.
you're not spending money, because there's, I think, with these sets, there's what 226, I think, unique cards, not counting the rares, the secret arts.
Okay. And then it also says you can use AI to battle for you and even create decks based on the cards you have. And it will also have pre-constructed decks for rental.
Yeah.
I don't love that. Like I feel like it's kind of annoying to not have to like rent stuff. I mean, I just don't like that in general. That's me. Maybe some people like that. Maybe it will be a really cool feature. That's something not something I will be using most likely. Maybe it will be good for content. I mean, honestly, I just like play decks some. We'll see exactly what that's like.
Well, like with the rental decks, two things. First off, I'm guessing there'll be some missions to play with a rental deck. Usually for these games, they want you to try all the different features, especially the features that might encourage you to spend money on down the road. Plus, just to get to know the game, right? So probably you're gonna have at least one mission to use a rental deck. And at this point, if you wanted to play, say, the Charizard EX deck, I think it's going to be very hard to pull 2 Charizard EXs. I think it's 2 is a max. So if it's available to rent, that's going to be the way you can probably play the deck, unless you want to spend a bunch of money to actually get the cards into your collection. So you might.
Yeah.
So it depends on the cost and all that stuff and how long you have it for. And the AI battles, and I think the AI or computer deck crafting, yeah, I agree. I think AI gets tossed around, so it's probably not an AI as such. But obviously, part of the fun of the TCG is building decks yourself. But this is a place for a lot of content, a lot of collectors that they want to help move people into playing the game. I believe, which is good from our standpoint too. So being able to have the game generate a deck for you is a good thing, right? Because if you haven't played before, you don't know how to build a deck for
Yeah, although I don't know if it's any good. Like the deck wizard's the only thing that I can think of, and that's like really bad. But for that was from PTCGO, and it was bad. It was just random cards
well,
essentially.
and also we were talking for if you played against the computer and PTCGO, it was terrible. And if you play against the computer in live, it's terrible, right? Like they'll deck themselves out, they'll make meaningless attacks, and they just do random play. So I'm assuming if this is like a more of a, I think this is a bigger thing in this game. It's got to be decent, the computer for playing the game, and I assume also then for deck building.
Yeah, I also think hopefully it says AI can battle for you. That's kind of weird. I think you get to rewards or something. I don't know the purpose of that though, to be honest. Like it's just a thing, but I hope it's not that I'm gonna be playing and I want to play against a real person, but instead it's pairing me against like a bot. That would be really annoying. So I really hope that's not what they're doing. I
Yeah.
don't think so, but that'd be a big issue
I hope
for
not.
me.
I mean, because if you look at, I mean, you look at the forums for live. I know sometimes, and there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, you're playing against bots in live," and I don't really, or AI, and Pokemon's doing it on purpose because they can't have enough players. So I think I really find that very hard to believe. But there's gonna be a lot of talk about that once in Pocket, just because they have this being able to play against the AI is a thing they're saying. So, but yeah, I don't want to play against the AI. Um, but hopefully the matchmaking's decent, right? It's not a ranked mode, which is probably a good thing. I've been finding the ranked mode to be getting more toxic on live lately. I'm starting to run into players that slow play from the first play of the game, which is
Okay, yeah. I mean, I there's talks. I've talked about this before. I don't love the rank ladder.
yeah,
I think matchmaking based on like a hidden rank or elo, which is a rank matchmaking, what's it, a
yeah,
ranking system, it is very good. I think Pokemon TCG Online had that. That means if you're a new player, you're not going to be playing against like the best players in the world. To
right.
exaggerate, but it's there. It's useful and allows just better matchmaking in general. So I do hope that is a thing. Um,
Yeah,
but let's talk about I feel like we
just
should
in,
we should talk
terms
about,
of
like,
the hang on, just in terms of the matchmaking, with someone when they talk to the devs, they're not going to ever reveal, I don't think, how the matchmaking works. But there is some hidden rank that's part of it, and then they also seem to indicate that collection size is a factor as well. So
okay,
if you're a new
that's
player with
cool.
very few cards, you don't want to see someone that has all the best cards in the game.
Mhm. One issue, not like I don't plan on spending much money, if any, and you also said that, but if you're someone who's new but wants to just spend a lot of money, then play, then you're just gonna get absolutely rolled over because you most likely because you'll be playing against people with more experience.
Right.
So, most likely. So I don't know. I don't know if that's like that's something that I didn't think of as an option. That is a cool idea though, and we'll see if that ends up working. I would not be shocked if Pokemon changes the matchmaking system at some point, either and they're tweaking it to get it just right.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, from the comments, I think when they've asked questions, that they're aware of things and they're going to make a lot of adjustments as things go on. I think that'll get adjusted. The trading is not available at this point in time, and it sounds like it won't be available when the game starts. And part of that is to keep things fair, and I think to keep people from, posting on eBay. I have a super rare Charizard. I'll make you a trade for some random card plus $200, right? Pokemon doesn't want that to happen.
Yeah. Also, I was talking, and my friend said that you could like just open up a bunch of like accounts,
Hmm.
theoretically, and then just like
Right.
trade all the cards to your own account. So there are lots of things like that, and there are things that are good with trading. I think trading is something that people. I mean, it's like it's not even that important for IRL. Like it is important, but it's not like the most important aspect. So I feel like it. I mean, it's a thing that's nice and would be nice to have, but it's not like a crucial aspect either.
Yeah. Oh, what other thing? Sorry. On the trading, when your complaints, obviously PTGO had it, and besides the servers being horribly slow, it was a place where kind of certain people were scamming the new players, and I think the devs have said that they want to make sure it's fair to inexperienced people as well.
Okay, that's really nice. Oh, there's the one. What's it? The Wonder Packs. This is the thing where you can
Yes.
get cards from other people's packs, and I think you choose the card, right?
You
Or not?
choose the pack, I think,
Oh,
and then
okay.
the cards are, well, the cards I think are fate. You just see the backs of the cards, so you pick a random one from the pack.
Oh,
The person doesn't lose the card, and I think that the Wonder Pack choices change. And but if one expires that you had wanted, there's some other currency you can spend to turn back
yeah, which
time.
seems weird. So, why does so you don't see what's in the pack? You don't see the cards in the pack, or do you?
No, I think you see what the five cards are. I think possibly from a selection of packs or whatever, and then you choose. I want that pack. That's my sense of it from
Okay.
that pack of 5 cards, but you don't know which of the 5 cards you're going to get.
Okay, so that gives you, I don't know. I was gonna say it gives you like good odds of getting like cards you want. I don't actually know, but that's a cool system to help you get extra cards. Um, but I think we should talk about. Well, there are friends, in-game friends. I think you can do friends matches when it starts.
Yes, I believe you can. You can do the AI, I think, friends and the random casual battles.
Yeah, which is just like the ladder essentially.
Yes. Although, yeah, I guess I don't know if there's any rewards that you build up to on the ladder, so I don't know if it's really a ladder, but that's not,
Um,
you know,
yeah, I guess I don't know. Anyway,
it doesn't matter.
so let's talk about the battles now that we're like half an hour in.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of important stuff to talk about. So I guess let's start with what the decks have. There are 20 cards, and you
right.
have up to 2 copies of a card. You said that there are no stadiums, what energy cards. There is energy, but there's no energy cards, and
And no tools. Now,
tools.
I don't know if the devs actually confirmed that there's no stadiums
Yeah, I
or
don't think
tools,
they
but I
did.
think no one's seen them, and there's no indications that they're going to be, but they could come later on.
Yeah. But just keep in mind, there's mostly items and supporters. You said you didn't know if you could play 2 items per turn. I feel like you or multiple items. I feel like you have to be like that's the only difference between items and supporters. There are like they're different names and they represent different things, but if they're the
Yeah,
same mechanic, that seems kind of um silly. Like I feel like they're trying to simplify it, and if they wanted to make them do the same thing, they should just make it the same mechanic, which I wouldn't have an issue if it's just trainers. Um and I don't know how different. Like I'm not exactly sure how decks are going to look. How how many trainers in Pokemon they're going to be because it's 3 prizes. It's points, which are like prizes. Then that means that you're like 3 Pokemon getting knocked out. You have a 20 card deck. Then if you have and no energies, right? So
yeah,
if you have like half Pokemon, then you have half trainers. But like I don't know. I don't know. Like that seems about right, but I feel like new people won't want to have half Pokemon. They want to have mostly Pokemon, and then they're gonna have these decks with mostly Pokemon where you just like can't like do anything. You can only have 3 bench Pokemon as well. So, um,
right.
even if you're playing like a mostly basic deck, 10 Pokemon isn't. You don't need 10 Pokemon. You need like 6 or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Look, a couple things. The games are short. I think less than 5 minutes they're going to be. Is my sense. 3 to 4 minute games seem to be what people are saying they run at. And you play a lot of turns though. This has more turns in the game than a typical the Pokemon TCG game has now. So the turns have to be very fast. So therefore, even the items are quicker. There's no deck searching. I know I'm jumping. I'm sure ahead a little bit with that, but you like the one item that we know, Pokeball. It puts a random basic from your deck into your hand, so you don't. There's no deck
I thought it's
searching.
on the board. Is it not? It's in your
This
hand.
Pokeball's into your hand.
Okay.
Um, so you're not because obviously deck searching adds a lot of time. You waiting for your opponent to do things. So these cards are quick. Obviously, the question is how much time do you are allowed to do. But if you could play 3 or 4 items in a turn and you have 15, 20 seconds, you could take a couple minutes on one turn, right? And I don't think they want that. So I'm not sure what the item rule will be. There's only one supporter. We know that. It says, I heard from one person, I think, that said 1 item per turn, but I think that's the only person. So I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. So we'll see about that. Generally, gameplay is pretty much like most of it's similar to the regular TCG. Some people are like, "Oh, it's a completely different game." It's like different, but it's not like they just threw everything out
Hmm.
the window. It's like similar. So like evolution, retreating, I think is the same. Energy is different, but retreating itself is pretty much the same. And a lot of those things are, as I said, the
Right.
prizes are points, not prize cards, which actually I've heard like a lot of complaints about prize cards. I feel like people are like, "Oh, I prize this. That's annoying."
Right.
Admittedly, that mostly matters when you're deck searching, so it's not like that big of a deal here. I
Yeah.
do think it is. I think prize cards are like prize cards are. This is kind of weird, but prize cards are in Pokemon TCG specifically for the IRL play where it like saves you having to have another counter. I've been playing. I played a little Magic, and Magic, you have like a health counter, but then you don't have damage counters. So you still have counters in Pokemon, but it does save like another counter. I guess it just
Right,
kind
because
of
we have damage
switches
counters, and
that.
obviously with the spread decks, especially now, like Dragapult, you need a lot of counters, and then you possibly can have poison or burn too. So, Yeah, you have a lot of counters. I guess more counters wouldn't make the game better in Pokemon.
Yeah. But now there is a counter essentially in Pocket, but it's just
Right.
like a virtual counter, so it's not like something that's hard to keep track of or physically hard to do. It's completely fine.
Right, and it's 3 points. The first to take 3 points wins, and it's 1 point to knock out a regular Pokemon, 2 points to knock out an EX.
Yeah. And then I'll just read the rest of the rules here. I guess so. You draw 5 cards at the beginning of the game, and you put your active Pokemon and up to 3 benched.
Right.
Then you can use a supporter card. So going first, you cannot use an energy, and you do not draw a card, which is interesting. And you also cannot have more than 10 cards in your hand. I believe you just don't draw any cards. If you have 10 cards and you go to draw one, you won't draw one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can deck out. Like, I don't know what happens if you try to draw and you don't have less than 10 cards and you have no cards in deck, if you lose or if you don't lose. Though I don't know if that's something that will realistically happen, like, ever. But there are a lot of control cards. So,
Right.
I don't know. There's a decent chunk.
Now, one thing I seen conflicting reports on whether you can use an energy turn one or not. I've seen some
Okay.
places that say you can, some that you can't, and I don't have any way of knowing right now what's correct on that one.
Yeah. But energies are not cards. They are, well, I mean, none of them are cards. Whatever.
Well, they're digital
So,
cards, right? So they're
yeah, they're
cards.
digital cards. But energy is not. It's from your energy zone.
Right.
Um, there's, like, weird stuff with the energy. Pretty much you just attach an energy from there every turn. You don't really choose what energy type it is, so if you have a multi-type deck, then you said the energies alternate?
That's what from people's that have played play testing. It seemed to be it would alternate the energies. I think it gives in the big symbol for what the energy is your current turn, and then a smaller thing in the corner for what the type of energy you're going to get the following turn.
Okay, so, that's a thing, and you need to kinda just pay attention to that,
And
but
if you like your first energy you get is based on your starting Pokemon, you have two types of Pokemon. That may help determine your starting Pokemon even more than the attack you want to use and such.
okay. And we'll find more info about that. There are some cards that accelerate energies. They kind of just like take an energy out of kind of nowhere. It's from the energy zone, but if it's the wrong type in the energy zone, it will just grab the right type. It's essentially just an extra energy. Um,
Yes.
I'm pretty sure. So, that's a little different. That's the biggest difference, the energy, I feel like. I mean, there are other, I mean, it's a mobile game. That's a big difference. Also, I do want to say some people are like not happy that it's only mobile. I feel like that's cool. Like Pokemon has a lot of cards. Like it's not like um people own like all the Pokemon cards. I mean, there are some people with absurd amounts of Pokemon cards, but even they
Right.
don't own all the cards. So it's not like you're running out of IRL cards to get. So I feel like it's just like it's just another thing, which is for a different set of people. Or you could do both, but it's
Right.
not. It being different is the positive to me.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, to us, it's a new game to play, and hopefully, it's a good game, and we like Pokemon. What a poke. It's a money thing too for Pokemon, obviously, like probably a lot of money. But one thing they don't want to do is they don't want a new product to take away the base of another game. So if they started printing IRL cards, that would probably directly take away money spent on the current TCG cards, right? And so
Yeah.
they don't want to see that happen.
hmm But what are your thoughts on like also I feel like I feel like 3 minutes isn't that short. Like I mean it's short. Yeah, comparing it for a
Well,
mobile game, right? Pokemon TCG takes a live game might takes like 10 to 15 minutes. I feel like it's a pretty fair length.
yeah,
Um
15 is probably common, but you need to be prepared to play 20 or more. If you sit down and don't have time for 20 minutes, there's a decent chance you have to quit the game.
yeah, yeah. But this is like as a mobile game, I feel like you're looking at three's okay. I feel like three's like pretty fair. I feel like five is, and people have been saying less than five, like four.
Yeah.
I feel like it's solid. Might be pushing it. Like they're making the game could be faster. The Pokemon could do more damage, and that's
Yeah.
not happening. And that would speed up the game, and that might be better. Like slow, like thinking games can be fun, but they're not fun for most player. Like you don't want slow grinds most of the time, especially for a mobile game. So that's kind of weird. Like they're not super slow, and it doesn't look like there's a ton of healing, but. Certainly there is
Right.
some, like,
Yeah.
in terms of turns, it's gonna be a lot.
Yeah, first on the game, a couple other things with the game. There's a 10 card hand limit, so which I think is even during your turn. I'm not sure how with
Oh, okay. Yeah.
so I don't know if if you can have more than 10 and just be down by 10 at the end of your turn. Of course, it's you're going to be well into the game at that point, I assume. The weakness at this point for the Pokemon that have it is all plus 20, and there's none of the Pokemon that have been revealed have any resistance. So whether that stays or not,
Yeah, the resistance. So there's a video by PTCG Radio, and he said it. I think in a way that's most clear. Like there is no room for resistance on the card. Where's a bigger card? I can't find a big card. But yeah, it just has weakness. There's no like spot for resistance unless you took out weakness, or I guess retreat. So
okay.
weakness could change. They could just change it from a plus to a times if they wanted. But I think plus. I
Right.
do like the plus 20 weakness.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty fair. Um, let's, and then the other thing is non-EX cards only have one attack, and EX may have a second attack. So, of all the cards so far, I don't know if it's confirmed by the developers, but at this point, there has not been a non-EX card with two attacks.
Yeah, and I think that's like fine. I mean, even in standard, Pokemon with 2 attacks generally don't use both of their attacks, they just use 1.
Yeah,
Even like Trapghost EX that has 2 attacks, they're very different, and you're never really using the second attack much. You could get some value out of it, but not that much, so I feel like that's fine, but a lot of the attacks are pretty boring as well. It is the first set, so, like,
yeah.
starting simple's fine, but most of them have no text on their attack at all, and so that's kinda boring. I don't know if most do, a lot do. Oh, wait, sorry, what did you say about the 2 attacks?
Only EXs may have two attacks.
Okay, but they're not necessarily abilities. So there's this Greninja I'm looking at here, it has an ability and an attack. Okay.
Uh, yeah, on a non-EX, right?
Yeah, non-EX.
Yeah, yeah. There's some like that. Yes. So, um, and yeah, I think the developers are going to pay a lot of attention to things. If there's complaints that the games are taking too long, I think they will make adjustments probably to future sets. Developers are also asked, would they adjust the cards in game because it's a digital only game, like with Marvel Snap and such. They will. You've played that a lot more than I have. They will adjust cards right down the road if they want to rebalance things. So they could do that here, but the developers said they don't want to do that. Um, maybe if really necessary, they might, but they really want to treat these like actual cards that you can't change.
Yeah, I guess the idea is like it's better to change a card and nerf a card than ban a card. That's probably kind of what they're saying. Like IRL, you can ban cards, but now they because part of it is like if you buy a card and now all of a sudden it doesn't do what it says it does when you bought it,
Right.
for actual money, it's like it feels like you're getting scammed. But that's true even more so if you buy a card and it gets banned. So I guess that's kind of I feel like that's probably where they'll draw the line.
Yeah, I guess it depends how big a problem it is, right? They know people will get upset if there's a really good Pokemon and that's hard to get. That's like an EX that people are spending like hundreds of dollars to get their two of, which may be the case to do that, and then they decide, oh, this card's too good, we're gonna nerf it, and it's like I just wasted $200 getting this card.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. But I do think if the games are too slow, they'll make adjustments to speed the games up. If there's a lot of complaints, they will address it. If there's a lot of requests, my understanding is there's no rank mode, but I think it's repeat. I've heard from multiple places. If people are constantly asking for a rank mode, they're going to do that. If there's a big player base in the game and there's a demand for competitive play, they're going to bring that in sooner rather than later, I think.
Yeah, which seems good. I hope they do use their discretion as well for this. Obviously, people sometimes know what they want, generally know what they want, but with live, we saw that that wasn't exactly the case. Where certainly myself included wanted like something better than PTGO, which I still do. I
Yeah.
mean, even if live is at the level of PTGO, I wouldn't necessarily be happy.
Right.
But people wanted a change and they got a change and they weren't happy. So I hope Pokemon uses their discretion. They're a big company. They know what they're doing. Generally, they can make mistakes, but it seems like they're doing all the right steps from what I've heard, which is really good. Like the cards seem fine. A lot of them are really generic, but they're also just like basic pre-evolution. So In standard, they're also generic. They're not as generic. I'm just gonna pull up Stellar Crown. And some are like just I shouldn't have pulled up Stellar Crown. Most of these are super generic. I'll pull up Temporal Forces. So some are like a little less generic. Like for example, Cottony has triple spin, which is it's a standard card. For one grass, flip 3 coins, 10 for each heads, but that's like still really generic, right?
Yeah,
It's
no,
just a
yeah, I
uh,
agree.
yeah.
Things are going to be pretty generic with this game, it seems like. So,
Yeah, but
which
the Cottony is like but like actual cards, a lot of them are generic too. So it's like not, it just looks really bad because there's not a lot of cards. But if you look at the interesting cards, they're cool. They're not as crazy as the cards in standard, which aren't like super crazy either. But I mean that's like fine. I feel like you want to have a game that's not too complicated, especially at first. Like if we looked at base set, we compare this to base set cards.
yeah,
I mean I don't know very much about base set. I just know a few of the cards which are quite simple. I guess base set cards. Oh no, base set cards were not that simple. Basic. I mean, base set is like old Pokemon cards are kind of a mess because Pokemon had no idea what they were doing, and these cards were like super wonky. So I guess this is the opposite approach where base set and old cards like we have this Electrode which like it turns into like a special energy like what is this, right? And then you had
right.
cards that just completely broke the game. Um, so I mean, yeah, you got computer search as a regular essentially item. You had research as a regular item. You had bosses a regular item, and you had switches a regular item. So some of the balancing was a bit off.
Yeah, which and obviously they've got at this point, and that was what Pokemon was the second. I think, base at least of the ones I'm familiar with, the second TCG to come out. There wasn't a lot of history there to deal with. At this point, there's obviously been a lot of TCGs, including Pokemon TCG, and there's also a
And
lot of
mobile
and
TCGs.
right, there's a lot of mobile games. I was getting to that too, because obviously they're going after this mobile market, like the Marble Snap or the what the Yu-Gi-Oh something something, whatever the quick Yu-Gi-Oh version is.
Yeah, Duel Links,
I think
I think Duel
I
Links.
think Dual Links maybe. It's one
Yeah.
of those. They came up with a quicker version that I guess has been very popular. I really I have not played it, so but obviously they pay attention to stuff like that as they should.
Yeah, so overall, I think the gameplay seems like fine. I mean, we don't know too much about it, but it seems fine from what we've seen. What are your thoughts overall on Pocket? Because I've talked about it more than you have, just in general.
I mean, a couple things. One, I don't want to spend money in it. I'm not the audience that's this game's targeted towards. Actually, I'm not the audience that even Pokemon TCG is targeted for because I'm older
Yeah,
and
you're literally a fossil.
I am a fossil. Yes, you wanted me the fossils in my name in large part because you're a fossil. Might as well just own it because
It's not my name, it's your name.
when
I'm not your
Pokemon took a
favorite.
survey on live, they would send out the surveys, and the first question was, "What's your age group bracket?" I answered the question, and they're like, "No thanks, we don't care about your opinion." So, um, so anyway, so in the mobile game is targeted towards a younger audience, I think, than the TCG, right? I would say so.
Wait, you think the mobile's younger?
I think it's. Nah, I mean, it's broader, right?
I think it's broader. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily. I feel like the like Pokemon TCG is aimed at younger, like just kids to collect a few packs. I don't know. Though
Yeah.
it depends,
Well,
right?
the big time collectors that spend tons of money because there are big time collectors in Pokemon
Yeah.
TCG cards, right? They're not the younger people, right? And that's where the money is, and those are the people Pokemon wants to bring into Pocket as well. To spend hundreds, they're hoping to get a bunch of people spending $100 or more a day for especially for when a new set comes out to get all the cards immediately, right? And that may happen. One of the questions is: as a budget player, can I get access to playable cards reasonably, right? I assume I'm not going to obviously get a full collection. I can't even really do that in live, and live is a very generous economy, but I can certainly get all the playable decks I want in live. I think it's very generous, and even other online games where you kind of like I play MTG Arena some, and I think that's a monetized economy for game for sure, overly monetized. But you cannot spend money and get access to okay decks is what I'll say. You can do okay here. So how will I? How well can I build the playable decks I want? Because I like playing a variety of decks. I imagine I would do that in Pocket as well. Can I do that or not? I don't know. Some of it will be depending how quickly sets come out too, right? If people are buying up these, spending a lot for new packs, and then in a month, and then they stop paying money, and Pokemon prints new sets more quickly, it's going to be harder for budget players, I assume. So time will tell on that front. I don't want to have to spend money to be competitive, is what I'll say. That's one concern. I assume you kind of feel the same way too.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely feel pretty much the same way. I feel like the way it looks, it seems like you can get a lot of the cards, and also it might just be a generally more casual game where a
Yeah,
lot of people, like almost all the people, are not playing with decks that are not necessarily like the best, but like good competitive level decks versus live when a lot of people are. There's certainly a lot of people not as well. Um, but there are a lot of people who are playing, but, like, and I feel like the standard is when people talk about it is to be playing with competitive level decks in live, but that's not the standard for, um, Pocket, I feel
Pocket.
like. I'm not sure. I mean, it's not out yet, but we'll see.
Right. What's it going to be? I wanted to play fun deck. I want to play it to be enjoyable to play. I enjoy the deck building, so hopefully you can build some interesting decks within the game. I'm hoping that's the case. I assume so. They've done. I think the TCG card design has done a nice job there. So I don't know if it's a whole separate set of people or what with that, but I assume they'll get good cards. And then if you're just getting tossed into battles against players with random jank decks that they just chucked a bunch of cards together, it's not going to be very fun, even if my deck's fun. So hopefully there's the right balance of enjoyment, and you want the games to be interesting and competitive. That's part of the interest. So hopefully that works out. Um, so I'm definitely looking forward to it coming out. I got to say, I wasn't before. I'm also not sure that I want to play a TCG on my phone. The screen's small, and I like if you play live or some other TCG on the phone, you can. I mean, I assume this game's not going to overheat my phone. I assume they'll deal with stuff like that. It's less cards, smaller bench, so it's better on the phone, but it's still pretty small. Like when you have a card that's like a 20th of the size of the screen, it's pretty small, right? You'll see the picture and you got to click on it to make it big if you don't know what it says. And I don't really, and I find tapping with my finger, I wish I could play it probably on the computer. I think it's easier when I have the time to sit down in front of the computer. The screen's bigger, the mouse is to me more reliable than my finger at times and stuff. So I'm not sure if I'm not that excited about spending a lot of time on the phone. I don't think that's, to me, the mentally healthy space for me.
Yeah, I feel like I don't mind. I don't really play mobile games much now, but there have been times when I played them. It's just not gonna. I mean, we obviously both make YouTube videos. I don't think it's
Yeah.
gonna make great YouTube videos playing it. At least in the like, there are some like you can do YouTube Shorts, but the games are too long for YouTube Shorts. And
Right.
then there's also like the YouTube Live, which I like the sideways YouTube Live, which I just like hate. It's not necessarily like the worst, but I don't think YouTube really knows what they're doing with it. But there was that thing, which could be a thing that could end up being like good on YouTube, but might not um, work out long term. So we'll see. I am like looking forward to playing it though, definitely. I've talked to other people who have said like, oh, I don't like know much about the TCG, but I want to play Pokemon TCG Pocket when it comes out because that seems like accessible and stuff. So
Right.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what it will do. I think it's actually a really big. I think it's like one of the biggest deals we've seen in like a long time for Pokemon TCG. I think it's probably the long. It might be the most important thing to the Pokemon TCG, or one of the most important things ever, in my opinion. Um, it could be at least.
Yeah, no, and I'm looking for, look, like I said, I'm looking forward to coming out. I'm not super excited, but I definitely going to play it from day one. I think I'm going to make some content on it from the beginning, which I think you are as well. Obviously, it'd be fun if it becomes a big thing and I enjoy it. To be from day one is like an appealing thought. Making videos for YouTube, which is generally towards the computer screen ratio, you have this narrow strip in the middle with like blank space on the side. So there'll be stuff to figure out there. But I also want to talk about what it means for the TCG and for live. Do you want to jump to that now?
Yeah, I mean we don't have that much time. I
So,
figured we were almost done.
look, is it going to be good or bad for the TCG and good or bad for live? On the TCG, well, here's what I'll say.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, it's going to impact live when it comes out. I think first
Mhm.
it's gonna take people away from live when Pocket comes out. I think if that doesn't happen, I'd be shocked. Is it going to be bad for live in the short run? Maybe if there's not enough people to play matches. The number of people playing could drop to like 25% of the people playing now, right? If everyone's trying Pocket out, which they're probably going to do the first week, is my guess. So it could be bad. On the other hand, I was thinking it could be good if it's these random players that play random decks and don't know what they're doing and take 5 minutes to get through their turns where they make little progress, right? Having those people doing pocket might make live better too. I'm not certain on that. So, but I think it's going to pull people away. Is it going to be good for live in the long term? Maybe. It could be good. It could be bad. I'm not sure. I think people are going to try live. The problem is that they're going to play pocket like it. Non-poke TCG players are going to try live, and live's not going to be good. So therefore, they're not going to try live again. So unless they get live better, first off, it's not good for live. Now, if Pocket does well, I think it will. It could be good in terms of one ways. Maybe TPCI decides that they want to monetize live. I'm not sure if they're allowed to by the parent company or not, but obviously that's one thing that would make live better. Now, would it be good to have, at the end of the day, the pros and cons? I don't know, but live needs to get better. Or this Pocket be successful if that the parent company decides we want to have a full-blown TCG app that's playable on the computer, right? And then that'll be done right. It'll be monetized, but I think it would be, again, hopefully playable for budget people as well. So those would be good things. I don't think the money in Pocket's not going to go to live to make it better. So that's not going to happen. Will the player base increase? Maybe. I don't know. And even for the TCG, if Pocket becomes the big thing, and it could, will 5 years from now the TCG start dropping off? I don't know. That's stuff that's hard to predict.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just hoping Pocket will be good though. I think it will be good for the TCG as a whole, though it might morph it into something that some people don't want, but I do think it will be better for most people. Um I hope it's good. That's the thing. I'm really nervous. Like I wasn't super excited. I was like interested in live and I wasn't super hopeful, but I was interested and definitely wanted to be good and started to buy into some of the hype. And I was like, this is gonna be all like good, hopefully at least a little bit good. And it was not. I mean, it has some good things. It has one good thing, which is the economy.
Right.
And then other like projects, like for example, Twin Leaf. Though there have been other projects like it, Twin Leaf has promised a lot. None of them ended up delivering anything amazing or even like good.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, they're all worse than Live. Live has lots of money behind it, or at least theoretically could have lots of money behind it. Not like the amount that Pocket does, but it could. So the fact
Right.
that these other things aren't hitting the same level as Live isn't like a complete failure. I'd say that Live has definitely disappointed more than those other things. But I was hoping that something else would be good. I've just been like really disappointed. I've been and like let down a lot by a lot of these other things. So I'm really hoping Pocket won't do that. I'll be like really sad if Pocket is bad. Um,
Yeah,
right now it's looking really good though.
I think it will be good, but it wasn't that long ago that as a community there was a lot of hype for live, including a lot of content creators. Right, Pokemon went out, did special like online things for content creators. Content creators made a bunch of videos initially saying how great Live would be, and obviously it was a disaster. So I'm kind of trying, skeptical. This is the parent company. DNA's involved with what was it, Cafe Mass or
No, Pokemon Masters CX, not Cafe.
yeah, Pokemon Masters EX. So they know what they're doing. So it certainly has to be better than live. I think obviously, and it will probably be a good game. Is it going to be well then how's the gameplay going to work? That's still a big question, right? Card access, we'll see, but then just is the game fun to play? That's the thing. To me, I don't really know at this point. I assume you don't know that either.
No, I expect it'll be okay. Expect it'll be pretty solid and it'll be fun. I mean, some people are like, "Oh, it's not gonna have this intense like strategic depth," but like it doesn't need to be like some insane strategy game to be fun and have strategy. It can just have some strategy that you think through. And I don't think people are going to be out here optimizing Pocket either. I think people will just be having a good time playing it and trying their best and just doing it. But I'm looking forward to it, and you are too.
Yeah,
But I
I
think
think
that's
you're
all.
underestimating the competitive nature. I think there'll be pocket tournaments appearing on Limitless or some other site pretty quickly. I gotta say.
Maybe, but I don't think people are going to be like like people. Some people are saying like it's simpler, so like but that I don't think that means it's like simple to the point where it's not worth playing seriously. Like
Oh,
that's what I feel like some people are saying.
oh no, yeah, no, there'll be yeah. I'm thinking. I think there'll be the game could get competitive with a competitive meta pretty quickly, and a few
Um,
optimized deck lists
yeah.
could happen within a month or so, right? What with the whole speed of the internet out there.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I don't think it'll be like day one, everyone's like optimizing all their lists, and like every deck is the same. Well, day one, every deck might be the same because you might only have a certain amount of cards, but maybe not because it's not like you start with a certain deck, you just get packs.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just looking forward to it, but I think it'll be good. I think it'll be really fun for a lot of people and branch out the Pokemon franchise and Pokemon TCG. But we hope you enjoyed the podcast. Check out our YouTube channels for more info on Pocket and other stuff. But we hope you enjoyed. And as always, we're excited to see you in the next episode.
All right. Take care.